Hi everyone and welcome to Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz in Washington. It's Saturday, March 30, 2024 here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with a devastating story that shocked the country this week, described as a mass casualty multi-agency incident. Shortly after midnight Tuesday, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed in Baltimore, Maryland, halting ship traffic and transportation operations in one of the country's busiest ports. A giant cargo ship slammed into the bridge around 1:30 in the morning, destroying the 47-year-old bridge. Search and rescue operations were a priority as 6 of the 8 construction workers reported to be on the bridge when it collapsed were initially unaccounted for. Marcel Feria filed this report.
Recovery efforts in search of victims and vehicles believed to be underwater went on all day Tuesday after the collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. The 1.6-mile-long 4-lane crossing was struck by a 984-feet-long container ship shortly before 1:30 Tuesday morning. Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul J. Whitfield says 6 people believed to be part of a construction crew working on the Key Bridge are still unaccounted for. Whitfield says the crew was fixing potholes on the bridge when the incident occurred. Baltimore City Fire Department Chief James Wallace says 2 people were pulled out of the water. One is uninjured, the other taken to a nearby hospital and is in very serious condition. Maryland Governor Wes Moore says the bridge was up to code at the time of the collapse.
But I have to say I'm thankful for the folks who once the warning came up and once notification came up that there was a mayday, who literally by being able to stop cars from coming over the bridge, these people are heroes. They save lives. They save lives last night.
U.S. National Transportation Safety Board Chairperson Jennifer Homendy says the Singapore-registered vessel named Dali made contact with Francis Scott Key Bridge at around 1:30 a.m., a few minutes before smashing into it.
The vessel is 985 feet long. It's a 95,000 gross ton container ship. I've seen information about crew members on board. We still need to verify the numbers of crew on board and their status.
Special Agent Bill Delbanio of the FBI Baltimore Field Office says there is no credible information to tie the incident to terrorism. Spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard says the search for survivors continues. Many fear, however, efforts may instead end in a recovery mission. Hanging objects from the collapsed structure, freezing conditions, and limited visibility are making rescue efforts dangerous for search crews. The fire department says several vehicles, including a tractor-trailer, have fallen into the water moments after the cargo ship struck the bridge. President Joe Biden, in an address, says all federal resources needed by Baltimore will be sent to their aid.
It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt.
Ship traffic and transportation have been suspended to pave way for search and rescue operations. The Key Bridge spans across the Patapsco River. It is the outermost crossing of the Baltimore Harbor. The 47-year-old bridge is an essential connecting point of Interstate I-695 or the Baltimore Beltway. 30,000 vehicles cross it daily. That's approximately 11.5 million per year. Rosel Feria, Baltimore, Maryland, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
We reached out to some of our Baltimore area neighbors and asked how they felt about the recent tragedy. Mark Castillo has a story.
Residents of Baltimore, along with the rest of the country, woke up to the shocking news that the 47-year-old Francis Scott Key Bridge is gone. A cargo ship smashed into it, sending bridge workers and vehicles into the Patapsco River. Medical assistant and Baltimore resident Jalen Hicklin says he thought a historic bridge could withstand such an impact. He was, however, saddened that it didn't.
I honestly was shocked, honestly. When I did my research this morning, I found that the bridge was built in 1977, and I would have thought it was mainly a historic bridge or whatever, meaning that it was mainly like built to be strong or whatever. Come to find out it isn't. And on top of that, I got woke up at 1 o'clock this morning by my mother-in-law who was yelling and everything, asking me was on the bridge, but no, we was in a bed and everything. Just a sad situation, honestly.
Roland Dali says he feels for the victims of the accident.
I feel horrible for those people, and those who survive, it's going to be a very traumatic experience for them, and they will not forget it for the rest of their lives.
Dulai says he will never feel the same driving on any bridge from now on.
Yeah, now every time I cross a bridge, I'll remember that one and make me nervous, I guess, in crossing a bridge. So I'll probably make it faster when I use the bridge, or any bridge for that matter.
Esthetician Abigail Mendoza, who lives a few miles from the Key Bridge, says she literally felt the impact of the crash.
I live about maybe a 15-minute drive from the bridge, and I could feel the house shake a little bit, and I could hear very faintly the sound of a rumble. And I actually thought that we were having like a minor earthquake.
Mendoza says this tragedy has left her thinking the entire day about the victims and their families.
Throughout today, I've really honestly been thinking about them, and I hope that the search and rescue efforts aren't completely in vain. I hope they're able to find as many people, everyone, if they possibly can. So that has particularly saddened me.
She says looking ahead, it will take a while for the city to recover.
I believe that it's going to be a long road. It took, I believe, 5 years for the bridge to be constructed before it was finally completed in 1977. And so just to see that all go down in, I don't know, a matter of seconds is just crazy to me. So it's going to be a long road to recovery. I'm curious as to how the city is planning to move forward with reconstruction, and what the city is going to do to strengthen the infrastructure.
Mark Castillo, Baltimore, Maryland, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
2 days after the Baltimore Ship Bridge collision, the bodies of 2 construction workers were found in the cold waters of the harbor. The workers were reportedly trapped in a red pickup truck that fell into the river after the crash. Jessica Bautista has the details.
Maryland police announced the grim discovery. Police say sonar shows what they believe are more vehicles trapped within the concrete and twisted steel debris of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. 6 of the 8-man construction crew are believed to have been killed. 4 bodies are yet to be found. Police say it is not safe for divers to try to penetrate the wreckage. They have now shifted to a salvage operation. They are in the process of removing the superstructure and then sending divers back in to recover the rest of the bodies. The Port of Baltimore is the 9th busiest major U.S. port in terms of both foreign cargo handled and foreign cargo value. It is directly responsible for more than 15,000 jobs and supporting almost 140,000 more. In Washington, D.C., Jessica Bautista, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The latest estimates released today by the United Nations show that the number of children who died before their 5th birthday has reached a historic low. Numbers show a drop to 4.9 million children in 2022. Despite the decrease, the number still means that somewhere in the world, 1 in 6 children die before they turn 5. Jeff Sanadat tells us more.
A report by the United Nations Interagency Group for Child Mortality Estimation, or UNIGME, shows that more children are surviving today than ever before. The global under 5 mortality rate has declined by 51% since 2000. UNIGME credits the decline to when resources are efficiently allocated to primary health care, including child health and well-being. The findings show that Cambodia, Malawi, Mongolia, and Rwanda, all low and lower middle income countries, have reduced under 5 mortality by over 75% since 2000. Despite this progress, however, a lot still has to be done to end all preventable child and youth deaths. The UN says this tragic loss of life is primarily due to preventable or treatable causes, from preterm birth to complications around the time of birth to pneumonia, diarrhea, and malaria. The agency says better access to high-quality primary health care could save many more lives. This includes essential low-cost interventions such as vaccinations, availability of skilled health personnel at birth, support for early and continued breastfeeding, and diagnosis and treatment of childhood illness. World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says every year millions of families still suffer the devastating heartbreak of losing a child, often in the very first days after birth. The United Nations says that children born into the poorest households are twice as likely to die before the age of 5 than those in the wealthiest ones. And children living in the conflict-affected settings are almost 3 times more likely to die before their 5th birthday than children elsewhere. Jeff Sanidad, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In our neighbor state, New York, transit authorities gave the green light to a controversial $15 toll for motorists entering the busiest part of Manhattan. It is set to take effect in mid-June. Joanne Soriano reports.
The board of New York's Metropolitan Transportation Authority voted 11-1 to impose the toll. The toll is aimed at encouraging the use of public transport and alleviating traffic in Midtown and Lower Manhattan. This will be the first in an American city. Passenger and small commercial vehicles entering Manhattan south of 60th Street from Queens, Brooklyn, and neighboring New Jersey will pay $15 during the day and $3.75 at night. This is in addition to any bridge or tunnel fees they already incur. For trucks and sightseeing buses, it will be between $24 and $36 during the day and less at night. Taxis will charge passengers $1.25 per trip into the zone. Rideshare apps will be authorized to charge $2.50 per trip. Only emergency vehicles carrying disabled passengers and specialized city vehicles will be exempt. Low-income drivers living in the congestion zone will be eligible for reduced fees. These fees must first gain federal approval and systems for collecting the tolls put in place. Critics, most of them commuters, are not pleased with the new toll. Several lawsuits are already underway.
Joanne Soriano, New York, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Extraordinary stories from Thomas I. Likeness today, from a state-of-the-art plastic sorting plant in Sweden to a homemade helicopter in India, and a race for servers in Paris. These and more on Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. We're drowning in a mountain of discarded plastic. It's everywhere. The stuff just doesn't degrade. It sits in landfills or wherever it's been thrown, remains intact, or it's burned, and that doesn't do a whole lot for the air quality. Not much of it is recycled, but Sweden is trying to do something about that. Swedish Plastic Recycling, a nonprofit owned by the plastic industry, has built a state-of-the-art sorting plant. Now, this facility uses infrared lights, lasers, cameras, even artificial intelligence to sort the piles of waste. And sorting is the key to efficient and economical recycling. You see, not all plastic is created equal, so it's not just a matter of melting down bales of random items and hoping it can be reused. Plant spokesman Matthias Philipson says this plant sorts the garbage into several different categories of plastic.
And what makes it special is the ability to efficiently sort out 12 different plastic types. The size is also quite unique, with a capacity of 200,000 tons per year.
Phillipson says before this plant opened, 50% of plastic packaging was incinerated because, well, they just couldn't sort it properly. Now, he says, less than 5% ends up in the incinerator. In India, two brothers recycled a car into a homemade helicopter. But the project never got off the ground after police seized the makeshift flying machine. The brothers spent about $3,000 to attach rotor blades to the roof of the car. Then they added a metal tail imitating a chopper. These guys had planned to rent it out for $60 a day to couples getting married, providing them with a distinctive mode of transport on their wedding days. This contraption was just on its way to the paint shop for a final coat when police impounded it for unauthorized modifications. The brothers paid a $24 fine. Police returned the do-it-yourself whirlybird on the condition they removed the mock helicopter tail. In Paris last weekend, hundreds of aproned waiters filled the city's medieval streets. They were taking part in a one-of-a-kind race designed to show off the profession months ahead of this summer's Olympics. And they're off. 200 contestants started and finished the race. They had to walk a 2-kilometer course, carrying a tray with a croissant, espresso, and a glass of water. Judges at the finish line took into account more than just the time it took to complete the course. They also looked to see how much of the beverages might have slopped over an unbalanced rim. The event turned out to be a real crowd pleaser as well. Spectators lined the route and applauded as the servers made their way through the streets. The winner of the men's division completed the course in 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Not far behind, the winner of the women's race crossed the finish line with a time of 14 minutes and 12 seconds. Winners received a medal and a night's stay at a swanky hotel. And from the Too Much Money department, pet owners in China flocked to a 3-day fashion show in Shanghai to view the latest fashion trends. That's right, fashion trends for their cats and dogs. 20 pet brands launched new collections at the runway shows. They even have dog models to present the clothing. And owners can coordinate their wardrobe with their pets and buy matching outfits. But really, is this a serious business? Well, pet fashion is no nickel and dime industry in China. Get this, in 2020, 4 years ago, pet owners spent nearly $70 billion on fashion accessories for their pets. And that's expected to grow to more than $110 billion by the end of next year. Like I said, some people have too much money. And I'll be back in 7 days, and until then, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, in Canada, a report reveals that several provinces are in much need of skilled, qualified teachers and school staff. This as the shortages of educators and education workers cripple schools across the country. Yolanda Aspiras in Learning Curve.
One school principal in Northern Ontario says that secondary schools in the province are holding on by a thread. And we are hiring warm bodies, not the best for the job, just someone to fill a job. According to the annual Ontario School Survey, 24% of elementary and 35% of secondary schools report facing daily teaching shortages. The school principals also responded facing shortages in education support staff, office staff, and administrative staff in their schools. Principals in Ontario have said that they are forced to employ unqualified individuals as a response to covering staff absences and shortages. Admittedly, they have raised concerns about the negative impact of this strategy on student learning. More than half of the principals surveyed have also reported that they have had to ask parents to keep their child with special needs home for the day as supports have been unavailable. The shortage in the education sector is also evident across Canada, as Quebec also reports they are lacking 8,000 teachers and that a lot of unqualified teachers end up supervising classrooms. Last fall semester in Vancouver, more than 1,300 teacher absences were left unfilled. 43% of Northern First Nations report having classrooms with no teachers. The survey also lists suggestions on how to respond to the teacher shortage crisis, like creating an education task force that will provide input on government policy, providing salary increases, and more professional development opportunities. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
For runners, learning how to overcome physical and mental challenges is helpful for completing races. This holds true for dealing with the ups and downs of everyday life as well. In Century City, California, Eva Basilyahe speaks with marathoners about the preparations and motivations behind their passion to run. Here's Health is Wealth.
In any race, mental hurdles are just as severe as physical ones. So we asked marathoners about their physical training and how they overcame mental excuses to reach their goal.
Doing about 4 runs a week, ramping up to, I did a couple of 20 milers within the past month, and then today with the 26.
Waking up early in the morning to get your long distance runs in, and just being consistent enough to do it when you're not doing it with your group, just getting like the little miles in, just being consistent on the daily.
Sleep, nutrition are important too, but getting that proper training in, making sure you get the miles in, the long runs.
A training plan, I had one hung to my fridge and I would mark it off each week as I ran my runs. And a good support team also.
A lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of miles.
Just dedication. I think that's what kept me going the entire time, was knowing that I just wanted to finish.
You're never gonna have the time that you want, but you gotta free up your schedule to do things to overcome your challenges. So make time to do things that you wanna do and you'll become great.
There are the little things. When you keep doing the little things, progressive and continuously, that's gonna be that's all you need to be right here and to finish and to cross the line.
You know, there are a lot of people who wish they could do it, but they can't. And I'm just thankful to God that I can do this for those who cannot, and also for my physical and mental health.
I'm doing it for the Peyton project. Peyton has a muscular disease and he's in a wheelchair, so we did this for him. And it's super cool to do a marathon for something other than yourself.
It took me 15 years to run my first marathon. So if I can do it and you don't do it in your first year of running, don't worry, you got 14 more to think about it.
The finish line is not really the finish, it's just the start. You just gotta keep going, and it's kind of like life. My last marathon, I had to walk the last 6 miles. This is my second one. I had to walk the last 3, but I beat it by 45 minutes, and it's all about forward progress.
So when does a race begin? For some, it's when they cross a physical stripe on the ground. For others, it's when they make up their mind to start running. Eva Basilyahe, Century City, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Running and completing the grueling Los Angeles Marathon is a tall order all on its own. Now, imagine conquering the 26.2-mile race dressed as a penguin or teddy bear. Alan Basilyahe catches up with some of these life-sized costume competitors. Here's Color My World.
In every marathon, it's not uncommon to see runners in uniform or in costume. But how does choice of fashion play out when running 26 miles?
Ketone IQ, we work with a bunch of pro athletes, Olympians, Ironman athletes, pro athletes, and I'm a amateur marathoner. A lot of times I just run in my regular marathon clothes, but today I wanted to celebrate, give a little shout out to the product and the team. I have an awesome team behind me, so I decided to wear the full blow up today for the full marathon. The vibes out here are just incredible. Los Angeles, incredible city of hopes and dreams. So just a lot of love out there and a lot of support. And I think a lot of people appreciate just all the runners. And I'm out here building my company, living the American dream. And I think a lot of people were just really supporting that.
Logan Paul sent me a message asking me if I would run the marathon in this suit. And so here I am wearing this suit in the marathons. It's pretty heavy and it doesn't breathe real well. And my arms are kind of going numb and this bottle cap kept hitting me in the head. So it was challenging. But yesterday I ran 62 miles, so this was kind of like a cool down.
That's actually my wife's idea. She decided to buy costumes of penguin. We ordered it like a couple months ago and she's actually running right now. It's actually hot in it, yeah. It's a lot of cheering, yeah. I mean, compared to any other previous races, just like people cheer regular thing or maybe the best my name, but when I'm wearing penguin, like every, I don't know, 100 times a mile.
This thing is heavy, and then the oxygen, I don't get as much. That's the biggest challenge, is trying to go fast in this. Other than that, I mean, I finished, right? 26.2 miles. People just don't know what they're capable of. So you gotta try it. Just go out for a walk. That's how I started wearing this. I couldn't run in this. I just literally walked in it before I started running. So take your time. Don't feel rushed. Don't let no one pressure you. If you want to go run, go for a run and enjoy it.
Running alongside someone in a costume can remind marathoners to stay hydrated or that there's no more cheese in the refrigerator. Alan Balsoyahe, Century City, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
A group of Corpus Christi, Texas residents decide to collaborate and open their own local supermarket. They specialize in exotic foods, making hard-to-find import products easily available to customers. Jay and Kathleen Gregorio on Community Care.
Residents in Corpus Christi, Texas don't have to travel to another continent to taste exotic foods or wait for family and friends to bring them back hard-to-find gifts and souvenirs from other countries. A new locally owned store, V-Mart, has recently opened its doors, offering a one-stop shop for imported goods and Asian fusion-inspired cuisine. The idea for a V-Mart was sparked when, one day, co-owner Zoe Tran and her colleagues expressed frustration at the lack of international products found in their city.
We have to go Houston, we have to go Austin, we have to buy stuff online, and why Corpus Christi don't have one? Why Corpus Christi missing this ability for amazing products for all the country? It's not just about specific any, but all Asian products. So we just make our dream, just like we should do something. We do some research and we're like, we should start something here.
Thus, Zoe and her partners decided to launch their own store, encouraging customers to share feedback of international merchandise they wish to see on the shelves.
Our management team, V-Mart V team, Zoe, Cece, Justin, Nathan, Saya, in a group of people, we talk and we say, let's make it happen. Let's make it a victory. So that's what the name of V-Mart come from. V is for victory, and we come up with the idea of that.
With the growing popularity of social media highlighting products from other countries, shoppers began regularly requesting for these items to be made available locally.
Whenever you step into V-Mart, it has everything. Everything from cooking, from grocery, from food, from daily, from bakery, from any country that we have it here. It's just not just like something similar like Walmart. It's something like, Japanese style, cooking chopstick, like a Japanese pan or Korean hat or pillow and sandal or lip gloss from all different countries. Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Philippines have a lot of variety of very good snack and a lot of candy, different style. And instant noodle is the most popular selling in here, like Korean instant noodle, Chinese instant noodle, Vietnamese bulldog noodle is really popular right now.
On March 23rd, V-Mart officially held its grand opening.
2, 1! Congratulations!
a group of dancing lions, as well as free samples of food and beverages drew massive crowds.
Isn't it just a store? It's a place where every visit enriches your day, where every product has a story and every aisle has its passage to discovery.
Thank you to B-Mart team, Justine, Nathan, Saya, and everyone of our team, Vin, of course, and then the branding task force team helping us for this amazing event.
A lot of the bigger cities have bigger international type markets, so this is a great addition to Corpus Christi. And I like to cook Asian food, so it comes in handy to have get specialized coconut milk and curries and vegetables that you can't get in the regular market.
It just brings a different selection to Corpus. We don't have a lot of options for the type of items that are offered in B-Mart. You'll find a little bit in stores locally, but you won't have the full complete variety that you'll find here in B-Mart. And I think that's really important because everybody wants to have options here.
Tell us about who you brought with you today.
So we brought Kai. This is Kai here. She's a 2-year-old Australian Labradoodle. She's kind of a local celebrity around here. We've gotten to the point now where everybody kind of starts to recognize her. We've gone into stores and, people will just be like, hey, Kai. And so they know her. Again, it's so important to support our people within the community here. They're our family, they're our friends, they're also our following.
We hope that B-Mart can be a place for family, friends can come together, have fun together, shop together, and dine together.
In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
And before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is Stumpy, the decaying cherry blossom tree here in Washington. Stumpy continues to bloom at the tidal basin. The tree is among 140 scheduled to be removed this May. A construction of a new seawall would prevent flooding during high tide. Since the announcement of its removal, the popular stump has attracted more visitors and residents hoping to get one last look at the DC icon. Thank you, Joey Figueroa, for this photo. And thank you all for joining us once again. If there are stories that you want us to share, just comment below. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and X at Eagle News Live. I'm Ken Cruz. We live in extraordinary times. Stay happy and healthy, everyone.